I'm so proud of you, Ruby. You've outdone yourself this semester.
My dad said as he looked at my perfect grades. Thank you, Dad. Now will you buy me the new iPhone as promised?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Dad. I'll head to my room and catch a movie. See you later, I said, walking away with a smile on my face.
Ruby, wait. I have some news.
I didn't like the serious look on Dad's face. The first time I saw that look on his face, he told me that Mom was not coming home from the hospital. I was only 7 years old then.
Ruby, it's been 10 years of me raising you alone. And it's been such a joy watching you grow into the beautiful young lady you are now.
You're scaring me, Dad.
What I'm trying to say is, I've been seeing someone for a while now. Her name is Monica. She's a lovely woman, and I'd like to introduce you to her and her twin daughters.
Dread filled me. After Mom passed away, Dad had never introduced me to any woman. As you'd guess, I was Daddy's girl, and the thought of someone else having his attention made my blood boil. No one was going to take my daddy away from me. I faked a smile and hugged my dad. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to meet them. I hated them already. I know what you're thinking, guys, but this is not a Cinderella story. This is the story of how I plotted to get rid of my new stepmom and her annoying daughters. Do you think I succeeded? Watch until the end to find out.
Ruby, I know you like your new iPhone, but please put it away.
Dad and I were sitting at a restaurant waiting for Monica and her daughters to join us. Sorry, Dad, I said, putting my phone back in my purse.
Here they come. Now, be nice.
Dad said, standing up.
Frankie!
Monica squealed and ran into my dad's arms. Frankie? I rolled my eyes.
Yeah, it's what Monica calls me. Isn't she sweet? Monica, meet my daughter Ruby. Ruby, this is Monica and her daughters, Joan and Joy.
Monica offered her hand to greet me with a smile on her face. I almost ignored it, but Dad was watching me closely. I was always on my best behavior when he was around. It's how I got everything I wanted, and it's how I was going to get rid of Monica. I shook Monica's hand and waved at the twins, who waved back excitedly. Ugh. Monica and her daughters became regular guests at our home, much to my displeasure. I knew it was a matter of time before they permanently moved in. Sure enough, a month later, Dad announced his engagement, and a few months after that, they got married, and Monica officially became my stepmom. It was my worst nightmare. Joan and Joy were around my age, but we had nothing in common. I was tall and slim with beautiful hair and a perfect face. Joan and Joy were identical, but they never came close to my beauty. Apart from their imperfect faces and figures, they wore boring and out-of-style outfits that looked like hand-me-downs. Yikes.
Ruby, today's the twins' first day at your school. Make sure you show them around and introduce them to your friends, okay?
Okay, Dad.
Thanks so much for driving us to school. Frank said our car will be arriving any day now.
Twin A said. I still couldn't tell them apart. I never paid them too much attention. Dad's buying you a car?
Yeah, we picked one exactly like yours. Isn't it great?
Twin B answered. I squeezed the steering wheel of my car so tightly I broke a nail. I felt tears burn my eyes, but I quickly wiped them. By the time we got to school, I was so mad my blood was boiling. I needed to do something. Where is it? I know it's in here, you thieves.
What is going on here?
Dad asked, rushing into the twins' bedroom. They stole my diamond necklace.
Liar!
I know it's hidden in your cheap things. That necklace belonged to my mother, I said, walking towards a dresser in the room. I opened a drawer, and after a few seconds, I pulled out a small box with the necklace inside it. Here it is. I can't believe you stole from me.
That necklace belonged to Ruby's mom. Why would you steal it?
Dad addressed them sternly.
I can't believe you're taking her side.
Twin A lunged at me and grabbed my hair. Ouch! Make her stop, Daddy. She's hurting me.
That's enough. Ruby, go back to your room now.
You need to punish them for stealing. Don't you see they want everything I have? Please don't let them take you away too. You're the only one I have, Dad. I burst into tears and ran to my room. Drama was my middle name.
Monica, you need to understand that Ruby is not used to having other people here, so it's tough for her. I'm sure she'll come around.
I heard Dad say a few minutes.
You're just making excuses for her. Your daughter is mean and evil.
That's enough. You'll not say such things about my baby girl. Ruby is a good girl.
The truth was, the twins did not steal the necklace. Earlier in the day, I planted it in their room. Enjoying my story? Stick around for my next plan. You'll like this one. Good morning, Finn. I greeted the school gardener. He looked up in surprise.
You know my name?
This was almost too easy. Of course I do. I always see you around school, but I've never had the courage to talk to you. You're so handsome, you know? Finn all but forgot the flowers he was watering.
Thanks, Ruby.
Of course he knew who I was. Everyone did. On a normal day, I wouldn't be caught dead talking to him, but desperate times called for desperate measures. And I was desperate. To get rid of the vermin in my house, Finn was going to be a part of my final plan. After a few days of talking to him on the phone and at school, Finn believed we were dating. One morning, I ran to him crying.
Ruby, what's wrong?
My stepmom, she's so mean to me. She wants Dad to transfer me to a boarding school. If I go, I'll never see you again.
What? Why would she do that?
She wants to have the house to herself and her daughters. She's jealous of me.
I'm so sorry, Ruby. I wish I could help you.
Bingo! Actually, I think there's a way you can help. I proceeded to tell Finn all about my plan, and although he was hesitant at first, I managed to convince him. All it took was one kiss. The next day, Finn came to our house. All you have to do is go to Dad and Monica's bedroom and lie on the bed. Dad will walk in and see you there. After I showed Finn into the bedroom, I went back to the living room and waited. Dad would be arriving any minute.
Ruby, I'm back. Where is everyone?
Dad said as he walked in. Welcome back, Dad. I don't know where they are, I just got home. Monica's probably upstairs.
Oh, okay, good.
Dad proceeded to walk upstairs, and a few minutes later, I heard him shouting.
Who are you? What are you doing in my bedroom?
Just then, Monica walked in.
What's going on?
I have no idea, I answered innocently. We heard footsteps coming down the stairs.
I found this man on our bed. He says he's here to see you.
What? I've never seen that man before. This is one of Ruby's tricks.
Stop lying, Monica. You know me very well. Come on, tell the truth. Monica invited me over and told me you'd be at work.
I did no such thing.
Dad dragged Finn out and pushed him out the door. He then turned to Monica.
I want you out of my house.
Monica's eyes went wide. It was comical to watch.
But Frank...
You heard my dad. Get out of our house. Daddy, I'm so sorry she broke your heart. I rushed to the twins' room and started throwing their clothes out as Monica watched in horror. By the time the twins got home from the mall, all their belongings, plus their mother, were out on our lawn. I'm so sorry, Dad. I thought they were good people.
It's okay, Ruby. I don't know what I was thinking bringing them to live with us. Please forgive me.
Of course I forgive you. Can we go out for dinner?
Anything for you, sweetheart.
At school, Finn tried to talk to me, but I completely ignored him. I no longer needed him. However, the more I ignored him, the angrier he got, and finally he snapped.
You're such an evil girl. I can't believe I fell for your lies.
His outburst attracted some curious onlookers. Can't we talk about this after school? You're embarrassing me.
Embarrassing you? You were not embarrassed when you needed my help.
Please, keep your voice down.
Is everything all right here?
Mr. Pan, my math teacher, asked. I immediately started to cry. Please ask him to stop harassing me. He asked me to be his girlfriend and I already said no, but he won't listen.
What? That's not true. Enough, Finn. Please follow me. Everyone else go back to class.
Much to my delight, Finn was fired that day. Little did I know that was the beginning. Some days later, I came home and walked into a nightmare. Monica, the twins, and Dad were all seated in the living room. And guess who else was with them? Finn. What are you all doing here?
Finn told us everything.
Dad looked so angry. Whatever he told you, he's lying.
Save it. Finn already showed us your messages on his phone. I'm so disappointed in you. You let me believe Monica was cheating on me.
There was no need to pretend anymore. They were ruining everything. I had a perfect life before you brought them to live with us. I'm your daughter, not them. I mean, just look at them. They're not as beautiful as me. And look at Monica, she's so boring and has no taste in fashion. I have nothing in common with them. The room went completely silent. Dad was finally seeing my true colors.
College is starting soon. I need you to pack and get out of here. I'll pay for college and your upkeep, but I don't want you here. Monica and the girls will be moving back in. As for you, young man, leave and never come near my family again.
I thought Dad would change his mind after he cooled down, but he never did. I packed my stuff and went off to college. Dad never even bothered to see me off. 1 year later. Dear Miss Davis, we're pleased to inform you that you've been selected for an internship at our firm. I couldn't believe my eyes. I jumped up and down with joy.
What's the good news?
My roommate Hannah asked, "Remember the internship I applied for? I just got in."
Wow, congrats, Ruby. Aren't they the biggest publishing firm in the city?
Yes, they are. I'm supposed to report next Monday.
I'm really happy for you. Call your dad and tell him the good news.
At the mention of my dad, my mood plummeted. Ever since I left home, Dad only called to inform me that he'd paid my fees and sent money for my upkeep. I haven't seen him in over a year. I missed him terribly. My first day of the internship came and I was well prepared. When I arrived, the lady at reception told me to report to my supervisor's office. "Good morning, my name is..."
Hello, Ruby. I've been expecting you.
Standing behind a huge desk was Monica. Was this some kind of joke? You?
Yes, please have a seat.
Monica asked about college and about my interest in publishing. I just stared at her, unbelieving. But why are you being so polite? You should hate me. I was horrible to you.
Ruby, when I saw your application for internship, I must say I was tempted to decline it, even though you're our most qualified applicant. But that would make me as evil as you are. It would be selfish and unkind of me to deny you the opportunity based on our past interactions. So, congratulations on your new position, Ruby. I must warn you, though, I'll not tolerate your bad attitude here. If you cause problems for me or others, I'll terminate your internship immediately.
I was speechless. After everything I'd done to her, she had the perfect chance to get revenge, but she didn't. Thank you very much, Monica. I didn't expect such kindness from you after everything I did to you and your daughters. I apologize for everything. You won't regret giving me a second chance.
No problem. We can keep that in our past and start a new page if you're willing. Everyone makes mistakes, and we learn through them.
Monica, do you think Dad will ever forgive me? She smiled and said,
He forgave you a long time ago.
That weekend, at Monica's encouragement, I went home.
Hello, Ruby.
Dad greeted me at the door. I ran to him and hugged him tightly. "Oh, Dad, I missed you so much. I'm so sorry for everything." We hugged for a long time. Surprisingly, the twins were excited to see me. They both welcomed me warmly, and I apologized for having treated them harshly in the past. They told me they'd be starting college in a few weeks. At dinner, I addressed everyone. "I'd like to thank you all for being so nice to me, even after how I treated you in the past. Monica, I am so sorry for the terrible things that I did. The truth is, I felt like you were trying to replace my mom. And Joy and Joan, I was afraid that Dad would love you more than he loved me."
What? Your dad loves you, and he's been miserable ever since you left.
I'm sorry you felt that. All you had to do is tell me, and I'd have told you that no one will ever replace your mom. I love Monica, but that doesn't mean your mom is forgotten, okay? She will always be part of our lives. I also want you to know that anyone that is unkind and mean to other people is ugly, regardless of how beautiful they look on the outside. Welcome back home, Ruby.
We all smiled and nodded. Everyone pulled in for a hug, and we all had one big family hug. It felt so good to be among family. I don't think this is a good idea, Ragnar. What if he gets hurt or killed? There's no guarantee that he'll be safe here.
For Odin's sake, 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗓, we've talked about this a million times. I know you love our boy, I do too. But we are both certain that Bjorn will die at the hand of our enemies if we don't hide him here. Besides, we'll always watch and keep him safe wherever he is.
Until we're dead, that is.
𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗓 spat back, but Ragnar simply hugged her tight and got into the spaceship. Reluctantly, 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗓 followed him into the spaceship and shed tears as they flew out of Earth to finish the war on their planet, leaving behind their newborn son and only child, Bjorn. Ever wondered what it's like to live among aliens on a planet that's not yours? Well, that's exactly what my life was. Sit back, relax, and keep watching to hear my amazing story. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you ever want to gain superpowers.
I can't believe you're making me do this. We're not young anymore, Martha.
But do you regret coming out?
Martha asked as she lay on her husband's chest on a mat under the skies.
Absolutely not. These beautiful stars remind me of my beautiful wife.
Martha laughed.
You animal.
Her husband always knew how to make her blush. Suddenly, a heavy rain began. It didn't even drizzle. It just came down with full force and got them soaked immediately. As they tried to pack up and run inside, they heard a baby crying in the distance. Mark tried to stop Martha, but she ran and picked the baby up with all his belongings, and they all entered the house. That baby was me, Matthew. After pondering over what to do with me and cursing whoever left a newborn under the rain, Mark and Matthew decided to adopt me since they couldn't have a child of their own. They gave me the name Matthew. I grew up like any normal child. I never knew I was different, and my parents never told me. Things started to change when I turned 16, though. We were having a lecture, but I wasn't listening. The teacher noticed this and decided to embarrass me by asking me a simple question. I wasn't listening, so I didn't even understand what he was talking about.
I can't be struggling to teach while students just choose not to listen to me. Why don't you excuse us, Matthew?
As I picked up my bag and packed up my books, I angrily replied, "Well, why don't you go jump from a window?" While looking straight into the teacher's eyes to make him understand that I wasn't scared of him. Suddenly, our teacher went straight to the window and opened it. He looked scared out of his mind, but he just kept moving. It was almost like he didn't want to do it, but had to. The class started panicking, screaming, and running around when he climbed up the window and was about to jump. Everyone was begging him to come down, but he didn't listen. He just stood there, dazed. As he was about to leap off the window, two teachers ran in and forcefully grabbed him, dragging him back into the class. The teacher started shouting,
Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Over and over again, like he had just snapped out of a spell. I freaked out and went back home, pretending to be sick when my parents asked why I was home. Mom decided to make me a special vegetable soup to make me feel better. After preparing it, she invited me to the dining table and gave me the soup. I tasted it, but didn't like it, so I complained. Mom came close to me trying to feed me the soup, telling me that it would make me feel better. But I knew that I wasn't sick, so there was no need to take the horrible soup. Mom, you know what would make me feel better? Pancakes. Please, could you make me some pancakes? I said while looking into her eyes and giving her the puppy dog face. Dad laughed, and I laughed along with him. We both knew that Mom wasn't going to make me any pancakes. She was a devoted health nut and made sure we ate only healthy food, and pancakes, according to her, were not one of them. My mom left without a word, got into her car, and drove off.
That's weird.
Dad and I said in unison.
She didn't even tell us where she was going.
A few minutes later, she came back with supplies: flour, milk, eggs, sugar, and more. Everything we needed to make pancakes. I was squealing happily, but Dad knew something was off. He didn't say anything though, he just quietly observed. When the three of us were done devouring the delicious pancakes, Mom suddenly acted like she'd snapped out of a trance.
You guys made pancakes in my house?
Nope. You made pancakes for us in your house.
What? And you ate them?
This was when I realized that I'd done something to my mother, just like I'd done with the teacher back in school. I felt disappointed in myself, so I quickly ran into my room. My parents followed me and sat beside me on my bed.
Sweetheart, tell us what really happened in school today.
I confessed and told them everything while they shared a knowing look between each other. Why are you guys looking at each other like that? What are you not telling me? Why can I do all these things?
We always knew you were special, my boy. When we saw the container you were in as a baby and the personal items you were left with, we knew that you weren't of this world.
I don't understand.
Let us explain.
And they explained how they found me. I felt hurt and betrayed, realizing that the people I thought were my real parents all these years actually weren't. I told them to leave me alone in my room, and they obliged. My parents advised me to only use my powers for good and not to control people unnecessarily. They told me that they could only advise me, but everything else was up to me. They weren't going to stop me from being free. I decided to use my powers for only good, just like my parents had advised. I set up a behavioral class to help people become the best version of themselves, and it was free for all of my schoolmates. I became kind of a mini therapist because I realized that over time, I could also read people's minds, but only if they let me in and surrender all freedom to me, kind of like hypnotherapy. Through this, I was able to reach out to bullies, heal their insecurities, and make them better people. I convinced people to work harder and make better grades, and I made the lives of so many students better. When word got out about how successful my classes were, adults started reaching out, saying they wanted me to help them solve their problems. I decided to charge them huge amounts of money, and they were all willing to pay. When I told my parents about this, they happily gave me the go-ahead, and suddenly I was bringing in so much money, and it changed our lives for the better. On one particular occasion, I was trying to get through to a new client, but he refused to let me in. I asked him why he came to me for help, and he didn't want my help. We'd had 5 sessions already, but there'd been no progress. I could have continued with the charade and just kept collecting money for every new session, but I wanted to help, so I used my powers to make him talk. Who are you? Why are you here? And what do you need my help with? Tell me everything, I said while looking straight into his eyes. The man started talking. He told me that he was part of a secret organization that hunted down people who had special powers, testing everything about them in a lab until they're able to come up with a serum that they can use to make soldiers with the same or even better powers than the original person had. He came because his son, a classmate of mine, told him that there was something different about me. He didn't need my help. He just needed me to slip up and show him my powers so he could take me away. He snapped out of the trance immediately after he said all this and tried to call for backup, but I stopped him. Stop. Sit tight right here for 24 hours. Do not move, no matter what. Do you understand? He nodded. I quickly drove home and told my parents what I had encountered. We packed up a few things, got into the car, and started moving. We drove as fast as we could, heading to the airport, but we were suddenly surrounded. That man had managed to free himself from the state I put him in, and he was standing right in front of us. They forced us all to get out of the car. I tried using my powers on the soldiers, but they were wearing glasses that stopped me from seeing their eyes.
This is very simple, Matthew, or whatever your real name is. Get into my car.
The impending danger caused a new power of mine to come bubbling to the surface. I was raising cars with my mind and about to send them raining down on the evil man when he and a colleague of his put guns to my parents' head.
Make any sudden move and I'll shoot.
As I got distracted, the cars fell and I heard a huge bang on my head, making me pass out. I woke up in a strange place. My hands, legs, and stomach were suspended with metal bars, and my eyes were covered. I was lying down. I tried using my telekinesis to remove the things covering my eyes, but I couldn't, and I noticed that it was because of the metal bars that covered my whole hands. I heard that strange voice again.
Bjorn, you're awake. So sorry for the inconvenience.
Spare me the lies, please.
How rude of me, I never introduced myself properly. My real name is 𝗬𝗘𝗚. Nice to meet you.
What kind of stupid name is 𝗬𝗚? Were your parents stupid too? 𝗬𝗚 laughed.
On the contrary, the name 𝗬𝗚 is a lot more special than yours.
I don't think anyone would prefer the name 𝗬𝗚 over Matthew.
Not Matthew. Your real name is Bjorn.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you release me so we can have a more civilized conversation?
I definitely will when we're done.
Done with what? Where are my parents?
You mean your kidnappers? They're safe in my dungeon.
I swear to God, if anything happens to them, I'll mess you up.
Yeah, right.
He laughed.
You won't.
I could feel him coming close to me, and next thing, a needle was in my heart. He was releasing a liquid into my chest, and it hurt like hell. I tried struggling, but it was all to no avail.
There, almost done.
Suddenly, there was a loud bang, and something huge hit the wall and came in. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it. I heard 2 footsteps, and 2 people walked down from it. Was it the cops? Could it be my parents, I thought?
Hello, 𝗬𝗚.
A deep, masculine voice said.
Aren't you tired of losing already? Why aren't you dead? How did you survive?
I didn't understand what was going on. That was definitely not my dad's voice, and that man couldn't be a cop either.
I came for my last mission, to get rid of the son you chose over me.
Son? Who, me? I wondered. Could this be my real father?
You choose your fate, my son.
And now, I'm going to choose his as well.
A fight ensued, and in the process, whatever that was covering my face was removed. I saw what had previously crashed into the building, and it was a weird-looking spaceship. A woman smiled down at me and removed all the metal holdings, and by moving her fingers, she absorbed the liquid in my heart and poured it on the floor. Then, she held me, and we teleported into the spaceship where I met my parents. "Mom, Dad, you're okay," I screamed and hugged them tightly. The woman that saved me looked disappointed.
We're so happy you're okay.
They hugged back.
These are your real parents.
I turned and was shocked to discover that the woman that had saved me and the man battling with 𝗪𝗚 outside the spaceship were my parents.
I'm sorry, Bjorn. We'll explain everything once we get home, but for now, I can give you a recap. 𝗪𝗚 was born without any power, and it made him jealous and eventually turned him evil. He tried killing you and destroying the planet, but we were able to hide you on Earth without his knowledge, and we've been fighting him and his minions ever since.
My real dad entered the spaceship holding 𝗪𝗚 like a chicken. He locked him in a cage that electrocuted him every time he moved, so he had to stay very still.
It took us many years, but we were able to defeat him and the revolution and save the planet. In our last scuffle, he figured out that you were still alive and on Earth, so he came to find you, take your powers, and kill you. Unfortunately, he has failed and will be locked up for the rest of his life.
My real mother came close to me and knelt.
We're sorry that you had to go through this because of your brother.
Wait a minute, I interrupted her. This demon, 𝗪𝗚, is my brother?
Yes.
My mom laughed.
Well, we've disowned him for his evil ways, so he can't be king anymore. You will be the one to take over the throne.
Me? A king?
Yes, my love.
My mom patted my head.
I hate you all! I will kill you all!
𝗪𝗚 screamed but got electrocuted and knocked out by the cage he was in.
We've been watching you all your life, and we're grateful to this magnificent couple that took care of you. They will live with us in our palace and be rewarded for the rest of their lives, unless they want to go back to Earth.
Definitely not.
Mark and Martha chorused. We all burst into laughter and took deep breaths of relief as we flew safely to our new home and planet.